I'm doing good. How are y'all?
Doing well. I don't think Anthony's on here just yet, though. Let's
Okay.
see.
Yeah.
Look, my hat matches your shirt. That's not very nice. This thing don't even work.
How? So, Jamie, this is my son, Lucas. Lucas, this is
Hi,
my
son
friend.
Lucas.
Hi, Jamie.
I'm friend Jamie.
She's like my sister.
Okay.
Look how cool your background is, Lucas. I love it.
What is it? Is it this? Because I was trying to
Mhm.
set up a background where it was just something else.
Mm-hmm. I like all the lights in that. Shelly knows I'm like obsessed with them. Okay. Our friend who likes to be fashionably late. I don't know. Let's see.
You gotta text him.
What are you doing, dude?
I'm waiting for you.
He said, I'm waiting for you.
One. He's at the wrong one.
Are you on the wrong one?
He is.
Am I? One, two.
Yes. Dude.
Oh, oh my gosh. Holy moly. Okay, check this out.
It's
This, okay, I gotta get on the Zoom.
okay, bye. He can't.
I only know because I did that at first, and I was like 6 p.m. Wait, what? Oh, I'm at the wrong one. Okay.
There he is.
So he wasn't being fashionably late. He was right on time. Just at the wrong spot.
I feel like an asshole now.
Oh no. No.
He is going to be fashionably late still, though. You can guarantee that.
I mean, I think it's okay to use statistical data sometimes.
He's
Fair.
on. Why isn't his face on here? Anthony, where's your face?
What are you doing? What is going on here, yo? I'm trying to figure it out. I got none. Oh, there's what I got. Okay, now I'm good. Look, it's getting in here. It's not. You see it?
No.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm hitting it and it's not going. Do you see anything that I'm doing wrong on this thing? Because this is never.
Okay, go out and then come back in.
And make sure you're not in another one.
Turn it off. Turn it back on.
There he goes.
Did you try the power button?
Yes. Shut it off and turn it back on.
Dude.
How is your? Do you have a mallet?
That's a hammer. Hammer. It is a mallet.
No.
I don't know why I have
No.
it in here, so I just keep grabbing it. Like,
Why do you have a mallet? I really needed one the other day. Why do you have a mallet?
probably because you needed one the other day.
There you are.
I had to go out of it. I was pushing everything, and I came right back into it. And the buttons are at the bottom, so I'm like, oh, okay. Well, they didn't change it. Okay,
The gang's all here.
thanks here. I was ordering a taco or a burrito. I was ordering a burrito. That's probably why I was back in the day late. We are getting lost. What is it? Los Patrios burritos tonight. So shout out to Los Patrios burritos.
Right on. So Anthony, this is Lucas. Lucas, this is Anthony.
Hey,
Howdy, Anthony.
yeah, here we are. We're here to talk about whatever we want, huh?
Talk about UFO.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear the experiences. I had a random experience at the hot springs this week and heard somebody tell me told me they had an experience pretty much like I seen when I was in New Hampshire one time. So I guess there's a lot of people talking about them now because it just seems like random people are talking about them now, which must be
Yeah,
a good.
soft disclosure is definitely working its magic right now.
Yes, yeah. And it seems like there's a lot of us that just want to talk about uh, what it really means and collectively figure out if we can do something positive with it, probably, especially from all the hurt. What do you feel about it? Your own experiences.
Uh, my own experiences, it's hard. It just feels like I've been in the right place at the right time to see certain things. Uh, when it comes to Rachel, Nevada, that felt more personal, definitely. Uh, I'm not sure why, uh, but it definitely felt like there was something more with what was going on there. There was people who looked like people who I was related to, but their names were different with the other names of people that I knew. Um, but I mean, other than that, yeah, it would be nice to try and get something nice out of soft disclosure that's happening right now. Try and guide it the right way instead of out of fear. It'd probably be the
Yeah,
best bet.
yeah, and like try to like make sense of all of these just really super strange experiences. And if we put them all on the list, holy moly, we're going to pretty much have a list that kind of matches like apparently like the CIA files and the FBI. It's pretty much our regular human list is probably going to be as wacky as the hidden file list. So that is probably encouraging because it it then we would it might actually help us like kind of get there a whole bunch quicker if we just are kind about it and really do kind of open our hearts maybe.
Approach it with love. Yeah.
And it's really hard because we live in a world that's really hard. And I was I was told the person at the hot springs yesterday. I said, I just straight up I said, well, you're probably a little kind of do to do too, because I'm kind of a little do to do, but it's time for the do to do's to rise right now. So it's like there's a reason for us. There's a reason that we're kind of an outlier. We're supposed to let our outlier shine, and it can be expressed through artistry, like really strange ways that we don't even know exist within us. If we just do crazy things will happen because it's like I think why they associate with the psychedelics or the mushrooms is like these new experiences open up new pathways in the brain, and those pathways just aren't nothingness. They're like tunnels. They're like, hey, new pathway in your brain opened because you moved like this freako hula hoop person over there or something, with fire dancing on your head, That's trying to how I try to think about it. These experiences now is like, oh, they're all a playground of experiences. Okay. But
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
I I
Testing new perspectives.
yeah, trying to shape it, trying to make sense of it without I guess trying to make sense of it in my own, but like listening to everybody else and going like, what did it feel like? What do they mean? What is the context of this? Is it part of our healing process? Is it like when people have near death experiences and some have really positive experiences and some have negative? Is it like when some people have really negative experiences on psychedelics and some people don't? And then it kind
I
of
think
makes you.
when the when human consciousness, when the human experience is so far as we've had it, is pretty standard. There's like a pretty set standard, and when you have an experience that's outside of that, it does force the neurons in your brain to try to make new connections, because the connections that it has, it does not make sense. And so it literally stretches into different parts of your brain, turning on different parts of your brain. And then the consciousness, scramble to try to make sense as those connections are being made. We're trying to come up with a mythology, come up with a story, come up with a narration for this weird ass experience that has no context to any kind of reality we've had before make sense, is what it seems to be to me. And you can you can have it be an experience because you have to bring it back into some sort of context for yourself. We do it with high, impactful points in our life. And, those are opportunities for us to either heal something that really stands out in our life, or, or add to something that's really positive that stands out in our life. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And at least in the what seems to be unfolding in front of me is a lot of people that have very strange, chaotic experiences, life history experiences, and there's just recorded stuff. And now there's people of high stature and stuff. I kind of see my role as like, really, like, hey, whoa, we got some very common experiences, and then let's calm down all the edgies over here, edgies over there. Whoa, these things
So
are connecting.
what are
Hmm?
and fit into your life? Like, what are some of the experiences that you've had?
Well, like, for example, are we freezing? It seems like I'm freezing.
Now I'm frozen. What are some of the outside of the norm supernatural experiences involving UFOs, or well, just sort of unusual phenomenon have you experienced that you've had to try to create some sort of context around? Your experience, Rachel, where you felt, that was a little odd for you. How long were you there?
I was there for just a night. I got there around 10:30, 11 p.m. and I was worried that the inn was going to be closed by the time I got there. But they said that they closed about like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Because the inn was basically the town bar. It was the town hangout, the town bar, the inn, basically the only thing that really generated any revenue in town. So that's whenever it was nighttime, that's where everyone hung out. I got there and I just stayed there for the night. Interestingly enough, the internet or the website posted a much more expensive rate than what they were asking for by the time I got there. So that was pretty nice. But I wish I took pictures of the place, but they had signs everywhere that said no photography, so I respected that. The only pictures I have are the lights of Area 51 distant off in the horizon. But yeah, if you guys want to hear about the stuff that I encountered there, absolutely. So I get there. I notice there are some people outside smoking. I have my cat in the car, so I leave her in there and just outside the crate just to hang out after we've been driving for a while. Like I said, it was dead of night by the time I got there. There was a couple of cars outside. I go inside, and it was
Hold on.
pretty hopping.
The cat. What? Tell us about the cat because I think the cat plays a pet part in this game here. So can you tell us your
Yeah.
cat?
She's my little guardian. My cat, she's been with me for God knows how long have I had Yenza? She's been
Yinza.
Yeah, Yenza. Why her full name is Wu Yenza. WU hyphen YENZA.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, she was there with me in Area 51 or Rachel.
yeah.
She did pretty well actually, surprisingly. At that point she had both of her eyes. Right now she only has one. Uh,
Uh, uh,
but
uh, pirate. She's in pirate mode now, I guess, huh?
yeah, absolutely. Cyclops mode is what I say. She's a little Cyclops.
She's a
Um,
she's an Odin kitty.
Yes, yo, totally.
uh, if you see me looking over, that's me looking over at her. Uh, so I left her in the car, went inside. It was pretty bustling in there. So I sat down and I ordered a coffee and I asked how much it was for the night. The lady who came and talked to me was someone who I recognized because I've seen her interviewed on the news for the place. She was the one who owned the inn in Rachel. Very nice lady, very clearly intoxicated, but that's life out there. um, but very, very kind. We started talking about it. Of course, everyone there is like, why are you here? UFOs, Area 51. Like, of course, that's why you're not there for any other reason other than because the drive into Rachel itself, after a certain point, it's 2 hours of nothing but just desert. You're just driving through desert. You're not seeing any towns. You got to make sure you got enough gas with you when you go out there. You honestly feel like you're like, okay, I should be there at this point, but I'm not. um, so yeah, if you're there for any reason, it's there for UFOs. So there were, I want to say about 7 people, one family.
This is such a unique. This it's just mind blowing. This is all mind blowing. It's all coming. We're all
I haven't even gotten to the best parts yet.
no. It's just mind blowing that we can all just start talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't even make goddamn sense. But here we are, and that's what
It
we're
is
gonna do.
crazy because I've seen over the last, like, I would say 15 years since I was really heavily into it, because I'm 32 now, really started getting into it in like my teens. Because it was, I remember it was nothing I can guarantee like the 80s. I know I didn't grow up then, but like, talking about UFOs then was more of a like, okay, but pop culture, it's fun to think about aliens, but they don't exist. If you really start thinking they exist, like you're kind of off your rocker a little bit. Nowadays, it's like, oh yeah, yeah, aliens exist. Yeah, 1000%.
Yeah, and that's even the most mind blowing piece of it is like, and then there's just like a whole other people that can't see what it might be for or anything. That's what I find mind blowing. Is nobody cares about what it's for. Um,
That curiosity, that lack
Well,
of
it could be a lack of curiosity, but it could also be fear of change. Because I mean, it is something pretty major. If it were to enter the actual populace, things would change in a massive way, and people are comfortable, and that's a big grip on how the country has, or the government, Big Brother has us in right now, is that most of us are comfortable with how things are right now.
That's legit. That is. Think about that. That could be a huge reason why people totally like they acknowledge it, but then they avoid it.
Yeah.
I'm comfy.
Because I mean, like, what's the biggest thing I've noticed in my generation is like a big catastrophic event happens. And it's like, all right, cool, but do we still have to pay rent? Like,
I think it's because
do we
like
really care?
yeah, I'm 37, so we're around the same age. We've just been hit over and over and over and over like our whole lives. I think we've just become like, okay, like we're still
Desensitized.
here after all that. So like, what does that mean for right now? Because like in reality though, I mean, I remember a little bit of normality. Do you guys remember much?
I do, and it was before 9/11.
Exactly. Yeah.
Before 9/11, everything, or after 9/11, everything came.
Yeah.
In my humble opinion. I think it was just the biggest slap for us kids to really realize that we're not safe at home. I mean, we are relatively compared to a lot of parts of the world, but we weren't at that moment in time for a lot of people. So it was like, grow up, And then our parents started leaving. A lot of our parents started leaving for the military. So a lot of kids were like, okay, this is really hitting home.
Yeah.
We had to grow up really fast.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is the biggest piece in my own journey is understanding that like there's a whole group of people that were supporting all of these wars for years. There's no real care for healing. We work on concentrating on understanding that there may be something attached to veterans and their families. The healing will begin very quickly in a very strange way that it's just really hard to articulate. It's hard to put into a package of maybe what could be because what could be is mind-blowing amazing. And then the alternative is to try to limit to it this and this, and I'm like, well, what if we just open it up to what is in your imagination that it could all be from? Is it a beautiful painting? Is it the ocean that has everything in it? I'm curious.
So before I had to move my Starlink dish back.
So back to the people in the bar.
Mhm.
And I spent, I don't know, I want to say like a good 5 hours in that bar doing many different things with these people. This was back, I had quit smoking at that time, but while I was on this trip, I allowed myself a few cigarettes so I can socialize with the people outside.
Mhm.
Kind of, nudge my way in. You want a lighter? Yeah, you got a lighter. Um, so the big burly man named Randy, which is my stepdad, but looked incredibly like my grandfather Rick. So it was like they scanned my brain, but there was like some things that were off a little bit. So it's like Randy, but it's Rick. You know what I mean? Um, there was the lady that I mentioned before that was running from the IRS tax debt in from Alaska. Her name was Kylie, and she was in her 50s. Kylie is the name of my sister, so that was interesting. Um, who else was there? There was, and I think there was a man named Randy that didn't look like anyone, but he was kind of like the town troublemaker. And at points in the bar, at points while we were just sitting there talking, he was telling me about how he knew where a copper mine was, and if he could just find someone to invest money in his machinery business to get the copper out, we'd be millionaires. And I was like, brother, you are barking up the wrong tree. There's no way I can help you in any way, shape, or form. Um, Throughout the night, Kylie, it was weird because Kylie kept talking to me, and she was hitting on me constantly, and I was like, I don't, I'm not interested in any of this. She was like, she made a joke at some point saying, oh, well, maybe you're just going to find me, in your car, and you can take me to wherever you're going. And I was like, we were going to be hitching a ride with my cat. And she was like, I'm allergic to cats. And I was like, well, sucks for you. Good job, Yunza. But yeah, it was an interesting night. We played darts. We had discussions about how Randy owned the whole cattle ranch out there, like all the cows that I was passing out there. He owned almost the entire land out there. So, and they were also loudly talking about some kind of trouble with the law that they got into, driving their quads into land that they had court dates or something going on. But either way, the man who was talking to me about the mines, he told me that he wanted to take me out to the gates. At that point in the night, it was already like, 1:30 p.m. or a.m. I was like, I don't really know you. I don't want to go out there with you right now. I'm just gonna go out there and hang out outside and just see if I see anything. So after everything closed down, I asked the owner of the place. I was like, "Hey, do you have any firewood I can borrow or use for the fire pit outside?" Because they had these two crashed UFOs, which these giant metal half tubes that have big fire pits. You can just sit out there and watch the night sky if you wanted to. So I went out there, started a fire, sat out there with my car playing music for a little bit, and the two exchange students came out and hung out with me for about 45 minutes. Um, very nice kids. I believe I'm still in contact with one of them, but I haven't talked to them since. Um, yeah, very nice people. But we really didn't end up seeing anything that night because it was cloudy as hell. It was unfortunately a very cloudy night, so I didn't get to see really any UFOs. But at the end of the night, I used all my water bottles in the car to douse the fire because I was the only one out there, and I wanted to make sure I didn't start a fire out in the middle of the desert. Um, put out the fire, went back into my room, and when I went back into my room, I realized the lady had given me the best room there is. They were rooms in these mobile trailers. And my room had a window kind of like this, pointed directly towards the gates uh, of Area 51, the big publicized one. So I got to sit there, lay down, and literally fall asleep watching the lights glimmering out there in Area 51. So that's where I thought I was going to be going next morning. Woke up the next morning, packed everything up. Nothing really weird happened that night. And I was very conscientious about it. I was like checking my watch, making sure I didn't have any lost time. I think if anything was watching me, they noticed that I was being very observant about all of that kind of stuff. So they didn't mess with me too much. But I packed up the car and I headed out to where I thought was the big publicized gate. I did not go to the big publicized gate. I went to the complete other end of Area 51, where the black mailbox is. I turned onto that road, and the road to the back part of Area of what is it, Lake? I can't remember the lake. Either way, to Area 51. It is one of the longest stretches of bumpy gravel dirt road that's marked at 45 miles per hour. You should not go 45 miles per hour, but I did. And it's confusing. It's confusing when you get out there. There's obviously like some kind of it says it's a family farm. I don't think it's a family farm. I'm pretty sure it's a station to look out and see who's coming up the back end. Because when I drove up, it was not a family. It was a bunch of men sitting out there in their work trucks looking at me as I'm having to pull a U-turn because I realized I'm at the wrong spot because they had a roundabout and I took the wrong roundabout. But when I finally got there, I'm going down the Area 51 road, and I start to see these two cliff edges meeting towards the road. And there's this broken sign. And this is after about, I want to say, an hour and 15 minutes of driving, just driving down this dirt road. And there was this broken sign that was kind of tilted barely up. And it said that if you go past this, it's live ordnance training. If anything happens to your car, if you're caught, you're going to be shipped to the closest city with a jail cell. All of the costs are towards you. And I was like, I don't want to mess with this. So this is as far as I'm going. I stop my car and I get out and I'm just looking around and I see off in the distance the white trucks, just one of the white trucks of the camo dudes out there. And I know that I was being watched. So I knew they were listening to me and I just waved at, I waved at the truck and I was like, hello, I'm just a UFO person. I have a cat with me. I'm not trying anything, just checking everything out,
Right.
using my cat as a shield.
Person.
And but I stood there, I took it all in for a moment. I thought about going further, but I didn't. I got in my car and I turned around. But I met the family that I had seen at the inn in there, and I had to tell them which way to go because of the roundabout. But on my way out, stopped at the black mailbox, took some pictures, and I headed out.
Right.
Because that was near the end of my trip. I was trying to get the rest of it done.
Wow.
But yeah, nothing majorly weird happening except the weird coincidences with the people that I was meeting where I was like, you're just a little messed up off version of a person that you're trying to copy. Like, are you really a person?
Right. Well, I think that's maybe that's just part of it. It's just when they're just little things to bumpers along the road that you don't really get full context till maybe other parts of your life. Maybe it seems like, I mean, I just have really strange experiences, like with people in a church one time in Charleston. Some woman came up and just started talking to me in the back of the church, and it was just very strange conversation, especially when I think about it now. And so I think there's going to be a lot of those with us, because we're like, well, yeah, it's important to give us all of these little omen things or signs and symbol things so that it helps us get to wherever we're as we're awakening.
Lucas, you said that you were watching your watch and keeping an eye on the time and stuff. What's that? How come you were doing that? What's that all about? And you also, and they didn't do too much. So what's that all about?
Well, because I mean, there have been times, I don't remember them well currently, but I know there have been times where I've lost time where you don't remember. Like you're like looking outside and it's like, oh, it's, I know that I did this. It's 2:00 p.m. because I'm going to a meeting here soon. And you look outside for like, what feels like 3 or 4 seconds. Then you look at your watch and it's 5:00 or it's 7. And you're like, where did those hours go? It's a common abduction theory where that's where they make you blank out, and the next thing it's like they're trying to do stuff to you or do stuff with you without disrupting any part of your actual consciousness. So it feels like nothing actually really happened except the time missing.
Have you ever had anything like that happen?
I want to say yes, but I didn't put them in the memory bank as well as I should have. I know that I feel like I can talk to my former partner that a lot of the things that happened, a lot of the supernatural things that happened with me happened with her as well. And she's got a good memory for that kind of stuff. So I'll talk to her and see if I can remember any of those moments.
I think as we allow people to have all of these different complex thoughts, and or at least try to get it out, what we'll have is a whole bunch of somehow we're going to figure out how to get the qualitative. We're going to turn it into quantitative data, which is going to help us really understand what it all means, because we're going to get all the I feels. We're going to get enough I feels and I thinks with common experiences, and then we'll go, well, it appears this is what goes on, right? And then that'll be really cool about the science of learning it, I think. And to be honest, we read stuff from the CIA files of them trying to do that to win world wars, and they're in the 1960s. So I can't imagine where they're at with that right now, right? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, we're just like out here in our infancy.
Past wars. Yeah.
Right. And they've already studied it maybe 50 years ago. And we're like, but the cool thing that I think about it is that it doesn't matter that they're ahead of us, because the spirituality thing is unfolding. And it's like consciousness spirituality is, from my perspective.
Well, that's a sort of an interesting question, Lucas. That was something I really wanted to ask you, which is what, with the experiences that you have had with the supernatural and with UFOs and things of that nature, bills and the economy and, like, having to survive aside, what are the implications of that for you? I mean, does it
Like,
have
on a personal level?
does it have, I mean, does it, what does it make you think about? What does it make you curious about? What is it, what
I think ultimately it where we came from is, when, if you like, it really boils down to, I think a lot of it comes down to where we came from in the grander sense. Because I mean, obviously, yes, we for me personally, on a personal level, if any of this stuff started to pop off, whether it be fourth dimensional beings trying to work with us, or that the government has made deals with, or
Yeah.
aliens, extraterrestrial forces coming to us, as long as we're not being enslaved or
Right.
having to go to war with these things, if things change, we join some kind of galactic federation or whatever. Me personally, I would like to know where we came from, how things came about, because I think that's the main question for a lot of us is, and I mean, things, we don't need it. We can absolutely enjoy life to the fullest without that knowledge. People have been doing it for God knows how long. But it would be nice to finally scratch that itch of, okay, we came from here. It was some kind of crazy molecular coincidence with mitochondrial cells that we just came about and gained consciousness through viral infections in our DNA, creating consciousness. That's awesome. So now we can move on and figure out what we want to do next, because that's something I don't think a lot of us can really get past is, what are we doing here? And if we can finally have some kind of answer, like,
Yeah.
here's where you came from, you were cloned, or you're a descendant of these aliens. It's like, all right, cool, we've got a purpose, or
Yeah.
we know this knowledge now. Let's just move on.
Yeah, it seems so simple, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you for telling me truth for once,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, it's like, or if there is a supreme being, cool, someone we can answer to and maybe ask some questions.
Right.
Like,
It seems like they bring some knowledge and stuff, like
right,
holy moly.
stop treating us like babies and cavemen and start treating us like the actual humans that we are. But maybe that is where we have to break into that spiritual fourth dimensional consciousness and show them that we're ready to do this on a grander scale. Maybe that's what they're waiting for.
That's really
I.e., fucking what's his face, the guy who disclosed everything.
oh,
Oh, Greer?
Greer?
E5s. Yeah,
Yeah.
Greer, Mr. Greer.
Yeah, and you know, in my world, I'm telling people like, yeah, Stephen Greer is freaking awesome. I don't give a care what people's opinions are. Anybody trying to bring truth, who cares? And especially when they're like, yeah, I'm trying to bring truth, and caveat, truth is really wacky. So this is the way I'm trying to do it. It seems like those are the people that are trying to really bring truth. You know, the ones that are like, whoa, it's really crazy. It's actually really crazy. I don't actually know what to believe. It's this or that. And I was like, well, Stephen Greer knows how to do CE5, but so do all the indigenous spiritual elders. So then you just have to consider,
Yeah, it's just wrapped in
yeah,
a different name.
yeah,
Yeah.
I consider that. Like, and then some people do not want are not going to want to pay for Stephen Greer's CE5 or have to do it this way. Some people may want to do it like with drums like the Lakota or the Cherokee or you know, out in nature. I think that's what is I have found is that I know our government studied it from many different perspectives. It actually went and studied other different perspectives so that it could find out like what works. And I think that the bottom line is everybody has the ability and you have to learn how to fractal your own essence, your own self to get the most fractal, to get your magnifying lens to do the most of it coming out.
You
You're
just
the
have
one.
an
Yep.
own expression of
Uh-huh.
find your own path to the answer, to the truth.
Right. And so if you're and what I've been thinking about that, Shelley, is like especially like through social work and like my military officer development, it's like you always have to keep going, seeking, right? And like even though you're still you think you're still there, no, there's another rank to attain. There's other skills and other identifiers to attain. It never stops. And especially like in social work, you would never want to stop trying to be a better therapist.
In science, science never stops. Science is constantly changing. And that's a
And
thing that a lot of people tend to forget, along with the fact that everything was magic until we really figured out what the hell it was. Like, people saw electricity and thought it was magic until we harnessed it. It's going to be the
yeah,
exact same thing with ghosts. We're going to be able to figure out what the hell ghosts are once we understand what it is. It's just
yes.
science that we need to find out.
Yeah, and that's exactly, you know, I just tell everybody I was standing in the room with Gary Nolan, and everybody should just look up Gary Nolan and see what position he is and what he's doing with his words in his mouth. He's saying he's at this institution, he's got the leading equipment for imaging, and he is getting patents for healing. And he's saying literally, I'm working with the woo. The woo woo. What are people going to do when they understand the woo is in our computers? And that's what he's telling people. And I find this to be interesting, right? This is interesting because well, he's outwardly saying it, and then the people that he's connected to and the people that they're connected to, you know, people who actually have studied it, you know, got paid to study it, and well, it's really hard to make sense of, but also that would be pretty darn cool too. Like if our technologies just started helping us really super how to heal, like in a big way, like that would be pretty darn cool. I would accept that.
Yeah, I think we're already seeing examples of that. How AI and robotics can really help heal, and not only heal, but help the disabled in a big way. Have you guys seen any of the first patient of Neuralink
Oh
who came
yeah, yeah,
out and talked about Neuralink?
yes, yeah, and what I
It's
was telling
amazing.
yeah, and what I've been telling people is there is files in the FBI and the CIA and the NSA that have technologies. Literally, the Space Force bullet number 3 is technology beyond Neuralink. It's technology beyond Neuralink that was created for the Space Force. And there's papers in the released CIA files that show that we are already fighting a brain injury thing, Neuralink non-touching with other people already, and it's like generals and stuff and that's what I've been telling people is like, yeah, they're getting us ready for this stuff, but it's already well developed on the secret side. Everything that everything that's it's already they're already doing it on
Everything
the
we see out on the market is centuries behind what they have.
yes, and some of us are starting to really like, well, wait, what is that? Like, if you just stop and like slow down, it's like, what would that mean if they were 50 years ahead of us on AI? What would that really mean? If you, and that's what I think happened in like 1975, they were already getting some really strange stuff with AI. So what would that mean? It's strange stuff, strange times, I guess. Lights in the sky. I don't know.
Yeah, when it comes to AI, I'm not too heavily like knowledgeable about it, but it's
Yeah,
interesting.
we're studying consciousness and downcraft at Stanford Research Institute. That's what's on the craft is ancient symbols. They were down by nuclear detonations. I happen to be a retired nuclear officer, so that's why it drew my interest in the nuclear piece. That's why you've heard some of them, those people talking to Congress. If you're a hippie type person, you're pretty excited like me.
With what's coming out.
What's that?
Oh, I think it's that cut out.
It didn't like that conversation.
I'm back.
We made it back. Well,
So Lucas, what about the Brown Mountain lights?
Yeah, that's probably one of my most woo-woo, crazy sounding stories that I have.